Hi, welcome to the Only Hero Gamer channel. So we're gonna, you know that the Nintendo Switch 2, you guys know that Nintendo Switch 2 prices situation is crazy and it's bound to get worse with the Tariffs. This is not a political channel or anything, so I'm not gonna be commenting on it. I'm just gonna be commenting on the effect that it will have on the product itself, that we're, which is the Nintendo Switch 2. So let's see how the tariffs could impact price of Nintendo Switch 2 console, shall we? Let's go.
The tariffs. I'm joined by Tom Yamas, and Tom, experts say the prices on everything from cars to toys could go up.
That's right, Lester. If tariff fees are fully pushed on consumers, the price tag for, say, sneakers made in Vietnam could jump 40%. An iPhone could spike $350. So tonight, we thought we'd take a closer look at a single product, Nintendo's hugely anticipated Switch 2 console, set for release June 5th. Nintendo has already sold 150 million Switches. The new version would be the first major gaming release since the tariff announcement. Pre-orders were supposed to start tomorrow, but instead the company hit the pause button. They've decided to assess the potential impact.
Yeah, they did that.
They got to figure out what they're going to get charged. Do they charge 50% more? Do they charge double? Do they even ship them?
The current price for the new Nintendo.
But it's not only that. It's obviously that's going to have an effect, but the reason they do that is because tariffs are paid by citizens, not by companies. Companies just translate that cost to the consumer. Ain't true that any company would have a loss like that. They would rather just translate that loss to the consumer, that cost to the consumer.
Switch $449.
So until they know how much they're gonna charge the consumer, which you shouldn't buy, boycott the Nintendo Switch. So they don't know how much they're gonna charge. That's it. At this point, is at the bare minimum $450, and tariffs will decide how much more will be added to that cost.
Ironically, to keep prices down, Nintendo had moved some of its Switch 2 production to Vietnam because of earlier tariffs on China. But Vietnam is now facing its own 46% tariff.
Okay.
How much of this is made in the U.S.? None of it.
None of it. The reality is, for these tariffs, it is a gut punch for every electronic. Nintendo being the first case because they're early in terms of the Switch. This is basically an economic Armageddon coming to tech.
Ives says moving production to the U.S. isn't a realistic option.
How much would it cost them?
Another thing, they just said that they would have a 46% tariff from Vietnam, which is where they make it now. Guys, we live in a globalized world, which means each part is made in a different country. Which means, let's say the screwdrivers are made, no. Let's say the chip is made in Vietnam, but the screwdrivers are made in Philippines, to put an example. Every time the Nintendo Switch has to move from country to country, it suffers a tariff because other countries either are sucking up the tariff or adding to it. Every time the Nintendo Switch moves from country to country, it is paying more, and that price will translate to the consumer. If they keep increasing the tariffs, I don't think they're gonna be able to sell it. I really don't.
To start manufacturing Switches here in the U.S.?
Tens of billions of dollars.
Billions? That's because of a supply. The U.S. isn't a realistic option.
How much would it cost them to start manufacturing Switches here in the U.S.?
Tens of billions of dollars.
Billions? That's because of a supply chain that's been built over decades.
It would take 4 to 5 years to even build and get done a factory here in the U.S. And the reality is the assembly, the supply chain's in Asia. If you just build a factory here in the U.S., where are you getting all the parts from? Still in Asia.
Nintendo says it.
Oh no. So the very goal of the tariffs, which is, this is not supposed to be a political channel. I was commenting on what I'm watching right now, what I'm reacting to. So that's impossible. It's not gonna happen, because still you need the parts from Asia, or at least the raw materials from Asia. I don't understand why, man.
It remains on track for a June 5th release.
In your estimation, how much of what we buy is going to go up?
90% of what we buy as consumers living in the United States is going to go up. And I think the U.S. consumer doesn't realize the storm that's coming, but they'll be seeing it over the coming weeks and months in those prices.
Tom, this is fascinating, but there's a big caveat here.
Yeah, Lester, there is a big caveat, and that's that the president has the power to exempt companies from those tariffs. It happened in the first Trump term. It's unclear if it'll happen in this term. It hasn't happened yet, but he does have the power to impose tariffs, but also to exempt some companies.
All right, Tom Yamas, thanks. Thanks for watching.
Okay. Guys, maybe the Holy Mary is that he might Nintendo might be exempted, but I don't think so. But hey, what you gonna do? So thank you for watching with me. Like, comment, and subscribe. I really appreciate it if you would. I have 2 channels in YouTube, 1 in Twitch. Go ahead and subscribe to them. And until next time, thank you for watching.